Welcome to the weekly Heads Up for New Zealand business from DAA Business Consultants and Chartered Accountants. Earlier this week, the Honourable Peter Dunne, Minister of Inland Revenue, in a major policy speech to the Tax Institute, said in his introductory remarks, as we contemplate the uncertainty ahead for both New Zealand and the world's economies, one thing is certain: the old ways are gone forever. Later in his speech, he highlighted two major events which, in his words, changed New Zealand forever. The first one was, of course, the February 22nd earthquake, and his comment was simply February 22nd changed everything for Canterbury and for New Zealand. The other was the 2008 global financial crisis. Now, the world is a changed place as the realisation has come. In Mr. Dunne's words, let me read them for you. Easy acceptance of massive debt changed almost overnight, and now governments, business and individuals alike are all much more focused on fiscal prudence. Now, while Mr. Dunne is right in general terms, I have grave reservations that he's right to say that business and individuals alike here in New Zealand are focused on more fiscal prudence. In my travels, I don't think the message has got through yet at all. What he's meaning by that is that we can't allow massive amounts of debt to build up, as we have done in the past. What we need is a realisation that borrowing money comes at a price. The price that people normally focus on is the interest rate. In New Zealand, we've had cheap interest rates over the recent years, and so the temptation to borrow has been much higher. But the true price is that the money has to be repaid. So what are the immediate consequences of the global financial crisis going to be as far as we here in New Zealand are concerned? I think it's quite clear that the lenders will tighten their lending criteria, your borrowing criteria. But it's also clear that there are a number of other economies around the world which are close to, perilously close in some cases, to the Greek situation. And we can't say that New Zealand is immune from this. How do you deal with this? How do you prepare for what we're facing? Well, one thing is for sure, Mr. Dunne's words, fiscal prudence, are relevant. You've heard many times in our media comments from various experts that we are not savers. As a nation, we're not. We spend up to the limits of our income and beyond, hence the need for us to have high levels of borrowing. We overspend. Those high levels of borrowing are exactly what is causing the problems around the world. What does this mean? It's obvious, of course. As individuals, we have to live within our income. In an ideal world, you live sufficiently within your income that you are also making savings, provision for the future, provision for the crisis, provision for retirement. Savings are good. Savings are necessary not just for you, but for the economy. How do you cope with this? Well, first, you cut back on discretionary spending, the frivolous items, the non-essential items. I'm not saying cut them out, I'm saying cut back. You look to your insurances so that if you strike a crisis, involuntary unemployment, some physical injury, government imposed goodness knows what, who can forecast the future, if that circumstance strikes you, have you got insurance that will cover the borrowings? If not, look into it. We can help you. We can put you in touch with people who know about these things. The next thing I would be suggesting to you is that you make sure that the first priority for your savings is to create for yourself what I would call a crisis fund, some readily accessible amount of money that will tide you over a week or two while you get yourself sorted out from whatever crisis might be coming. I'm not saying there's a crisis coming, I'm saying that, like the good Boy Scout, you get prepared for that. The other thing you do is look to get all debt repaid as soon as possible. Now, in the case of a mortgage, that may well mean that you need to discuss with your mortgage broker or consultant the nature of the mortgage you have, so that as you are accumulating some savings, you will use those to further reduce the mortgage above and beyond what the scheduled payments are. Now this, as the good mortgage brokers will tell you, and I call to mind a company called Mortgage Freedom in this regard, they are crusaders on the point, this will give you the best return on your investment possible. Repaying your mortgage is better than putting money on term deposit in the bank, and what more can I say? You want the best deal for you and your family. So to summarise, Mr. Dunne, who has turned out to be a not half bad Minister of Inland Revenue, has the foresight to see that the world, and our world as well, has changed forever. He has taken steps in the rest of his speech to outline how he is going to try and arrange for his department to deal with that, but he has given us a fair warning that nothing is the same as it was. It doesn't matter whether you're in Auckland, Christchurch or Invercargill. New Zealand has changed. You won't have felt the changes yet, but they're there and you will.